This is a Clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now with a severe update. We have a severe thunderstorm warning there in the yellow box in play until about 7:15 for areas of St. Johns County, including St. Augustine. That's one of the reasons really we're breaking in, because it includes a higher populated area right now as it interacts with a boundary here. So got to keep that in mind. I know we're watching that interaction here just to kind of see how things go with that East Coast sea breeze near I-95. We're going to go ahead and jump on over right now to our GR2 analyst source, I think, because this will give you a better look at things. And I know right near 95 and what that boundary I know is really kind of coming up in strength quickly. So I wanted to make sure we came on here just in case. And there's another storm even back behind now that's popping up real quick around Hawthorne. This is not warned yet, but it has developed there, it looks like, on an old outflow boundary east of Gainesville. And it'll track into Putnam County with gusty winds and small hail. We have enough energy around for these storms here. I know going outside, it definitely felt humid out there. You could feel it. And with that just pattern here in play, doesn't take too much. If you can get some stuff to kind of develop here on, I think it could blossom pretty quickly. And again, that's the story right now towards St. Johns County. A severe thunderstorm warning in play until 7:15 for central St. Johns County. Right over I-95 now at 6:45. I know the severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles east of Piccolata, or about 10 miles west of St. Augustine, moving east at 25 miles an hour. So St. Augustine Beach, St. Augustine Shores, Volano Beach, St. Augustine South, Butler Beach, Anastasia, and Bakersville under this threat. So just got to watch out for those gusts about 60. Not out of the question. Right now it looks kind of marginal, but it may still evolve on us. Only like it wants to give us a little downburst or something. That latest frame there tells us right as it moves toward the interstate. The worst of that wind could be kind of right behind the core of maybe some nickel-sized hail here. So keep that in mind. It's now maybe right on the interstate act for that newest assessment of things. I just kind of backing it up just a little bit there. You can kind of see what we're talking about. Maybe developing more right on the interstate. And I kind of looked at a little bit closer, and you could kind of look at that two different ways here in the weather center. You could kind of look at it back here, or maybe look at it out here, and that might be more aligning with that hail then, which would make a little more sense. So again, let's just go ahead and continue to watch this here. I know we're just going to see exactly what's happening out as we get out there. I have some traffic cameras we can pull up in this area. I know this is a little bit different than some of the other storms we've covered here today or in recent times, as it's more pop-up in nature, but again, headed towards St. Augustine. So we wanted to make sure that with the nation's oldest city here in the path, that you guys are aware there, and St. Augustine Beach here on this holiday weekend wrapping up. Maybe some lightning headed in your direction. So whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors, obviously, in toward that area. So let's just go ahead and continue to watch things here. Give you guys the latest, as I know we're going to try this with traffic, so it might kind of give us a little bit of an issue here real quick as I try to get that loaded on in here. But I know our systems, they've just, any of you reset at this point, because we've been going so much here lately in terms of this weather coverage to keep everybody safe and informed. So let me go ahead and see what we have here. It looks like some of the cameras are already having issues. Let's see what this one shows. Looks pretty wet out there on this shot, so let's pop it up. Bear with me here. I'm going to load this full. So this is going to be a pretty nasty storm here, it looks like. Parts of St. Johns County right now. Parts of St. Johns County. We'll take that full, and you'll be able to see what we're talking about there. This is toward a mile marker 313. Mile marker 313 and toward this area. Folks having to slow down here in these type of treacherous conditions. Maybe headed home after the holiday weekend. And you can see that rain there blowing around there a little bit. Looks like it's just a pretty rough go of it. Just make sure you be careful on those slick roads here in this type of setup. We're just going to have to be monitoring the situation here very, very carefully as we look ahead and toward the timeline here. I just don't want to mess around as we get later on here. I mean, it'll be darking a little bit, but this storm hopefully will be out in toward the coastal waters by then. But I know we're seeing different things coming to Chattanooga. We still got flash flood emergency out toward parts of Mobile and Baldwin County, not Mobile proper, but still a nasty situation out there, dangerous stuff. Had a tornado warning in Franklin County earlier on that week came 1-4. As you just see, folks having to slow down here as they should in this type of situation. Let's go ahead and go back on over right now to our viewpoint. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in play for about another 15 minutes or so, 14 minutes here. 4 areas of the viewing circle. So just giving you guys the latest. I know we have a covered map here. Our covered map, you can see that we're talking about St. Johns County here. St. Johns County on this map that's underneath this warning. So I just got to kind of be mindful of that here as we look at some of our latest data. You can see some of that wind enhancement maybe moving right towards St. Augustine now. So let's kind of give you a new track on this. And we just got a new update, so this might be able to be changed here in a second based on that data that we're getting in here at this moment. But you'll see this trend back here in a second. But some of the worst, I mean, you could look at it both ways, maybe over here, with the worst of the wind potential. But in this range, anyway, in this region, I know pretty gusty. I know earlier on, speaking of gusty, I know we didn't have a formal warning out there, but radar cover is not the best. But as we got over Cedar Key earlier on, looking at some of the storm reports, we got a gust all the way there to 49, 53 miles an hour even. A couple of different sites there. One in Levy County, just on land, a 49 mile an hour gust, and the 53 seems to be at a buoy. So some strong but not quite severe winds over there earlier on with a sail. As we just continue to watch things here in the weather center. I know it's about to trim back that data, just switching. There you go. So that's warning at 7:01. It's a thunderstorm is located near St. Augustine, moving east at 30 miles an hour. So nickel-sized hail, 60 mile an hour wind gust, still a threat. Still the threats here that are the most predominant. St. Augustine Beach, St. Augustine Shores, Volano Beach, St. Augustine South, Butler Beach, and Anastasia. So we're just going to continue to monitor things here. So looking east of I-95. Again, trying to let you guys know what's going on here as we get into West St. Augustine. It's an area that doesn't even take much rain or really for flooding to occur. It'd be minor flooding probably, but still. I just got to remember if those roads start getting covered to be using extra caution here toward this region. As we zoom out, we're getting more pop-up stuff now. Stuff's popping all over the place here. None of it's warned yet. This one, Flagler, might be the next one to get warned now. It looks like northwest of Bunnell now, right along State Road 20. This is evolving. I know not exactly the timing and the exact look we thought that we might get here based on the model guidance, but the models here struggle sometimes. We just have just a bizarre setup with that jet stream here in play, and this is not. You get one characteristic here that you get more at a different time of year, and another characteristic here with the instability you get this time of year, and you're going to have some issues. As they're saying, this storm now, they're telling us in the chat that it's going up quickly, and they may need to issue a warning on it now if it goes in this direction here a little bit further. So, again, that's kind of the storyline there in Flagler County, and stuff's just popping all of a sudden here. This pop-up stuff's sparking on up here. I mean, I felt it here a little while ago. You know, we've been in the studio a lot here lately because of all these storms haven't been on, but I had a chance to get outside for a little bit earlier on, and you could just feel it here. It felt unusual out there in some regard with that humidity around, and that instability here is up there, and I can get this stuff with the triggers in play to pop up and develop pretty quickly here. So again, watching that area, watching another area there up again with the warning towards St. Augustine, watching that area moving out of Alachua into Putnam County now. I know as we got to the west, they're luckier toward that area that was under that flash flood emergency. They're in a better spot there right now. But let me go ahead and jump on over here. Let me go ahead and switch our system real quick. You can see that polygon until it goes until about 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central for areas like Magnolia Springs, Theodore, the surrounding regions. The rain's moved away for the most part. There's still some issues arising there. I mean, you can see that the heavier accent word Gulfport, a lot of lightning extended down there. We had a tornado in Mississippi earlier this afternoon with a debris signature on it. I know last night we had a deadly one further north. Look at all that rain, though, earlier on in this box. It's not good. Not what you want to see here. Not what you want to see in this type of setup. You can see about a foot of rain there occurred. Some of that's over the water, thankfully, but some of it's not. And that leads to issues. So, file a battery there. Well, we're going to get a warning for Flagler now, so I'm about to jump back over there. They're telling us here in the chat they're going to issue one for a hail to 1 inch and 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, but likely headed toward the Palm Coast Pinellas area. But you can see here, I mean, these yellows here, that lighter yellows, 9, 10 inches. Some of these darker yellows over 6 inches, and the mustard yellows. So that's a lot of rain. New warning for Flagler just coming out. Oh, wow, look at that hail core all of a sudden. It's saying we maybe getting, I know they issued it for 1 inch, but our system's all of a sudden saying it could be 2 inch hail in here. This is developing rapidly, folks, very rapidly, like more rapid than you would even see here in a normal summertime setup. Since this stuff, we kind of had a chance to destabilize, and now we're kind of paying the price here a little bit, it would seem. So let's jump to our analyst computer. The warning is just going to be popping up on there now. You can see that warning in play. It goes into at 7:45 for Flagler County. Looking here, this is west of Bunnell, south of Espanola there. Just gonna keep watching things. Let's just go back. I mean, look how quickly. I mean, we just had sour here. I mean, that's at 49 past 6, folks. It was just a little sour. This is some of the more explosive stuff I've seen in our area in a while. I know you can get this in summertime, but to go, I mean, this is kind of, you got to be really careful because look at this. I mean, we did not even have, this is why you got to watch the radar here, folks. Look at this. We did not even have, 30 minutes ago, there was not even an echo with this on radar. And now we have a storm that could be producing hail over 1 inch in size. That's very unusual to go that quickly here. Normally it takes a little bit longer for this process to get going. So you got to be kind of careful here. This could keep strengthening in this type of setup. It could be putting down some pretty nasty hail, and there's a chance it might really start to put it down even more as it gets into these. You can see on the topography now, it's a more populated area over here versus over here. So we could have a problem as we look toward Beverly Beach in terms of maybe getting hail maybe close to 1.5 inches or so. I'm just kind of forecasting here at this point. Maybe get some wind put down to the surface too. So I know the warning's for 1 inch, but they might have to up it if we keep getting a signature like that to just devolve on us here. I mean, that's enough here to cause at least a little bit of minor damage, some dents and things like that. So let's move toward I-95 over the next little bit here. So got to be aware of that in parts of Flagler County. Even that wind energy is coming up. It's not overwhelming, but it is a nasty little core on this storm here that's getting itself going. Again, you don't see that too often around here, folks. I mean, it went from nothing really. I mean, we were at 6:44, and we didn't even have maybe one little echo on the radar. Before that, there was not even one echo at 6:41. And then here you go, at 7:07's radar scan, you have a severe storm in this area. So you got to be really cognizant here. Let's go and zoom back out. That storm around St. Augustine's coming into town now. It's not as strong as it was, but it still could be producing maybe some severe wind down at the surface. Not out of the question, but really it's now becoming more about Flagler that quickly. Since we've been on, I think the focus is really changing and shifting to Flagler's way. Hopefully this algorithm's overdoing it because our algorithm normally does a good job. It may just be developing too quick to keep up because this is one of the nastier hail signatures we've had in a while, and this goes back to that event we had earlier in the year. This is now some hail. I almost hesitate to say this in the air because hopefully it's just hitting something wrong. Because, I mean, look, it wasn't even there a minute ago, and our composites now really picking up on it. Hopefully it's overdoing it here. There's some type of contamination, but it's trying to indicate hail over 3 inches in diameter here now in Flagler, which would be remarkable to come up here in our area this quickly, like something that's almost unheard of. So hopefully, if I'm the weather service, I think I'll raise this to 1.5 inches, unless you have reports that are a little bit higher. I would go a little bit higher, maybe even 1.75 to jump into that considerable range. I wouldn't go destructive on this yet, unless we get the reports, obviously. So I'm not sure if that's actually verifying here. I mean, it's curious. We'll have to watch that, obviously, because that would be really bad if that was actually verifying. Okay, they're going to intensify with the large in terms of the up. I mean, it's not even set up on our scan from 4 minutes ago. That's how quickly. I mean, this is really rapidly developing. I mean, it's showing over 3 inch hail on that scan as well now, which is just again remarkable for our area here. I mean, in all my years, I've never seen a signature for hail develop that quickly. That's even anywhere close to being accurate. If it's over 2 inches, to go from no shower to 2 inch hail that quickly is very, very interesting. But again, the atmosphere just, I mean, I know it's crazy to say it. I'm just really surprised by how it felt out there. But this setup would kind of favor that. because we have these temperatures here in the upper 80s after we already had some rain earlier, and we have instability values in some spots here close to, if not over, 4,000 joules per kilogram. So they're going to probably upgrade this warning a little bit. We'll see if they turn it orange here. I mean, I don't think they'll go to the destructive yet, because I want to get some ground truth to that to make sure that's actually happening. But they may go considerable here. I mean, that would make some sense. Maybe 1.75. Let's go ahead and go up to the north here. North of Charlotte. That means 1.75 inches in diameter, by the way, is what I mean. There's a tornado warning north of Charlotte. I thought I would say that to you real quick there. Area, I mean, a little bit of Mecklenburg County clip by that. So you can't see the rotation good because I don't have good radar coverage there. But let's get back down to this storm here. We had to St. John. I'll see that one real quick. It's over St. Augustine. That's what we came on for. That's what the description's about. We weren't sure we'd get other storms. I was kind of hesitating how I want to describe it. I could have wanted the more broad one, and I guess I wish I would have at this point because of what's happening in Flagler so quick, but we weren't really sure if we'd get more there. But again, you can see this is that storm. It could be producing some wind issues there. Gust to 29 so far is all we've had at the airport, but this storm here has just developed in just a rapid fashion here. Again, I have to go to this mode to kind of get the latest look at things here. I know we're in just the 1 out of 5, or no, back that up. We are still in the 2 out of 5 risk, but only the 1 out of 5. This is the wind. The hail is only 1 out of 5, and I'm not 100% sure how much this would support hail to this size. But I think I would upgrade this to 1.75 and just see if you're getting reports, and then obviously, depending on the reports, you can go further than that, because I feel like that's just, I mean, we almost need to get our cameras ready, obviously, here. I-95, let's look here. The expiring St. John, that storm here is falling apart, but this warning for Flagler, a whole different story here. Down the interstate, we need to get our cameras ready to see if we can catch this, because then we'll be able to see how big that hail is possibly here. So I'm moving in toward the Palm Coast area here, maybe on this edge here, maybe. I mean, even some of the other radar aren't even keeping up with this. So it's very unusual. Let me check the exact, look like a little bit northern tilt. I'm trying to find the best camera here to kind of give you guys an idea on what's going on in this type of setup. This one's looking north. I may want to go one more, actually. I feel like that's one might. If it's looking, yeah, it's looking north. So gotta get a camera ready. I don't want to go to it yet because there's not much on it yet. Even the clouds, I mean, you can't see a lot yet. But again, we have it ready to go to here once this gets a little bit closer to the interstate. Again, hopefully, I mean, other systems only go on 1.25 on the hail, but it's picking up on a different area. So, again, it's an odd situation because it's strengthened really quickly. Our system normally does a real good job with its estimates here because it's that algorithm. I mean, that's a special algorithm here. And I'm starting to question it a little because I feel like if they really thought this would be happening, the Weather Service they would go and upgrade a little bit more. But they did agree and mention here that they think it's getting bigger. They just hadn't sent out anything new yet. But so let's see what we have here. I'm gonna go ahead, and I know we're on another source. I'm kind of okay. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the other source. So you see what I'm talking about there. Then we're on this source again. Yeah, still showing some big hail. So okay, Hispaniola down here. This one, let's see what we're seeing. Okay, it's showing it could be hailed about an inch or so, but there's just maybe a little bit more just west of town. But coming into town, it could be about an inch or so in diameter. In this situation, we're getting a report of this penny size so far, but it's kind of on the edge depending on where they are there. So that's interesting. So let's just kind of extrapolate that out. Then it just weakens some, but so I mean, just kind of looking here, hail sizes a little bit. That's about 3/4 of an inch. So just kind of thinking about this here. So that's what it's showing now. But and okay, the other one just went down quite a bit at 1.65, which seems more reasonable. But it might just be the updraft is catching this so tall here. So we have the way it's setting up. It's developing so quick. I mean, so again, nasty situation here. But I mean, let's just kind of extrapolate that. So let's just go half of that 3.43, and I think that makes sense at latest scan at about 1.65 then. So about what I was thinking, maybe 1.75. They haven't upgraded it yet, but we got those cameras. Let's make sure, try not to miss this. And it looks like it's weakening back down, so very curious. very curious, but if it hit a boundary, it could have got a big updraft. It might be kind of giving our computer a false signal, but it could still give us hail over an inch in diameter here. So again, let's go ahead and zoom back out. Let's kind of zoom back out here on this view. You can see here Clay County, some heavy thunderstorm activity evolving there now pretty quick. I took it off the other mode because the way it's catching things, sometimes you can overdo the sour it around. We had some wind to the coast earlier, I mentioned. And again, I'm just kind of curious on what type of reports we get out of Flagler there. If you have any reports, send them my way. I'll try to check here on Facebook and some other sources. The comments. Let me see if there's anything so far for any of the viewers out there. Don't see anything yet. But again, looking at things here in Flagler County right now. This is the only warning. The St. John's warning went away because it's not as significant anymore. Other storms don't look like they're quite as severe yet. Okay, our hail size, this went down a little bit more now. So, interesting situation here. Let's go ahead and jump on over toward this mode. You can kind of see what we're talking about here. There's even a little bit of maybe weak rotation, I guess you could say at this point. At this point in time. I mean, it's very weak. I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. We'll watch it though. That definitely is the core there. The one we had the hail signature spike up. It's growing so quickly. The ER though isn't really slowing down on that mode, which is interesting to me. But ecotops, you can see these oranges indicative of ecotops there on this mode at 40,000 feet. So getting up there. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. I'm getting right near the interstate. Right near I-95. I don't want to say I-75 because we've been talking about that area a lot lately, but let's go ahead and an area toward I-10, but let's see here. Try to load a camera in for this area. See if I can get a live visual. Have it up here, but gotta get it loaded on in the system right now. Just a one-man band, so it's kind of takes a little bit longer here sometimes. It's all about protecting you, your friends, and your family here on this Monday evening. So, again, and now the camera, for whatever reason, we're having an issue with it. I don't think the storm's quite arrived there yet, though. So, we're talking about the penny-sized hail there in that one community. Let's go a little out no further north. Okay, we have another camera shot here. This may still be a good enough spot here if we can get it to load. For whatever reason, we're having some issues with the traffic system now. But again, we're continuing to watch things here in the Weather Center. Continue to give you the latest to protect you, your friends, and your family here. I'm going to look at some more shots. Okay, that one's loading, but that's now it's causing our issue again. We're having some technical problems here, so maybe on their end, I'm not sure because they're not wanting to load here for some reason at this point. Again, I apologize, but let's just go ahead and stick with the radar then. I was hoping we'd get a good view of this. Just bear with me. Again, trying to keep you, your friends, your family safe and informed here in this type of setup. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and look at the radar a little bit more now. And that definitely is interesting. The way that developed quickly there. I mean, it's matured. It's in a weird spot, though, to a very unusual storm. And it's a very odd feel to the atmospheric setup here, too. If you step outside, we're not under a threat of lightning right now, obviously. Then that might be something interesting to do. But let's go ahead. I know our algorithm kind of went away here that quickly for hail to be severe. So, very peculiar. Very peculiar situation here. Look at current rotation tracker. It says that picking up, but again, hard to kind of discern here in some ways in terms of what's going on. Okay, we're being told now there's multiple hail reports west Palm Coast up to Nichols size across western Palm Coast just now. So Nichols size is almost 9/10 of an inch in diameter. It's still under severe, but just barely. It's right there bordering it. So multiple reports here of hail on West Palm Coast. Let's try that again. We've been talking a lot the last 8 days, but on the west side of the Palm Coast area up to Nichols size, So that's kind of your storyline there. Let's go ahead, see what we have on our other views here. I'm looking at our correlation coefficient, our other source. Let's go ahead and see that. I don't see too much popping on up here at this point in terms of hail on that mode, which is interesting. Kind of telling it might seem like it'd be a bigger signature if we get bigger hail there for a while, but again, just continuing to monitor things here in the weather center. So looking at some of this, I see down toward even, areas around US 1. Let's see, interesting stuff. This is going to be, I'm going to see our broad view before I mention this, but let's go over toward our broad perspective then. We'll switch sources to do that. Bear with me. Yeah, I don't think that could be a, I'm going to back this up a little bit more to make sure, but yeah, we had a report around power lines and trees down from Augusta in Suwannee County at 6:46, but that timestamp can't be proper. That can't be right because we didn't have anything. That must be from a different time, different day. But we'll continue to watch things here in the weather center, obviously. Yeah, that's when it came up, and I think that's accurate there. But again, I have to correct that. But nonetheless, we'll continue to watch things here in the weather center. It's been a very long time frame for the weather service watching this too, so occasionally a mistake, typo could happen. But again, I think that's probably what's happened there. That report from earlier on in the timeline of an issue there toward Suwannee County. But let's go ahead now. You can see our view here moving toward I-95. I-95 here in parts of our area. You can kind of see here even some of hail toward, but now at this point, not out of the question. I know. I'm going to check some more informational sources. Bear with me here. Bear with me. I'm trying to give you the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family here on this Monday, on this June 19th, 2023, Juneteenth. Just trying to see what we might have here in terms of weather information, in terms of hail reports now. I know there's a page that we can get some of these reports into from on Facebook out of Flagler. And a lot of people are reporting their hail in, and I'm trying to see if there's anything bigger than, there's hail, definitely hail, and that's coming down. It's just not that big right now, it looks like. That looks like to be the store Nichols side. A lot of the Nichols side that is mentioned by the folks here in the chat session. So, again, continuing to watch things, continue to monitor. Looking back here, our scans. Could have been a situation too, with that algorithm. Sometimes I've seen this happen before. Unless it just had a big burst of it further out west, which I kind of doubt it. I think it's the updraft. And it's a situation here where it's reading the updraft. It's reading that updraft here. And then it's just showing there's quite a bit of hail here. Quite a bit of hail in the ward of Flagler County. More volume of it, but maybe smaller in size. It wasn't growing big. And our system saw so much hail probably that it was just overdoing it there in terms of the growth of it and overdoing it there. It was thinking that it was bigger than it was because there's just so much of it falling in an area. We get this many reports. That makes more sense. Very odd, very unusual here. Very unusual to see a situation where we're getting that algorithm to miss it that badly. But we're being told right now no wind reports yet. The hail reports are coming in left and right, as we've kind of talked about here. The hail is coming down. It's just a lot of it, but it's not huge hail here at this point. I think that's kind of the story based on our updates. There's a lot of hail falling out of this. It's just not that damaging in nature. Maybe getting a stone somewhere in about an inch, which would be just officially severe. But a hailstorm, but not a damaging event at this point, which is some good news. So an unusual thing here to get this much hail to fall. This many reports of hail. Again, not the sizes that we were thinking based on our algorithm, which was Roy. I think it just saw the hail developing so quickly and it kind of jumped on it and was like, it's kind of far from the radar site anyway, or any radar site anyway, so it's seeing the hail and it's just it can't really tell that it's instead of a bunch of, small hail, which is what it's falling. It seems like it was thinking it was kind of combining it and thinking it was all just maybe a little bit lesser amount of the big hail. So that makes sense here at this point. That makes more sense here down toward this area. But I usually want to get as many reports out of Flagler County. I mean, you still don't want to be out. Still don't want to be pelted by hail. You don't want to be out in rain or lightning. You don't want to be hit by hail, even if it's only 9/10 of an inch in diameter. But again, I'm just going to continue to watch things here in the Weather Center right now. Over in Hispaniola, you can see east here of US 1. We're seeing some wind energy, maybe, but they're not really any reports of that so far. So, that's good news. That's good news here in this type of setup. I'm just trying to give you guys the latest on what's going on here in Flagler County. So, again, this event has to warning go for another 19 minutes. I mean, it's conceivable some of this stuff could get a little bit bigger here in size in terms of some of the reports down toward the surface. But right now, I haven't seen anything bigger than nickel. But I'm going to check out our page here, a page that I have access to anyway in Flagler County on Facebook that I have bookmarked. Let's see if there's anything new here. I mean, we'll check the most up-to-date information here. I mean, all sorts of the sections in town getting the hail. All looks about the same so far. Pretty small. Penny to nickel size. Kind of get the idea. So, dime to nickel. Folks here in Thunder, obviously, as well. Whenever Thunder roars, you want to go indoors. But again, watching this storm here, part of Flagler County, hail is being reported in quite a few spots. It's just, again, it seems like there's just a big magnitude, a bunch of it. It's just not quite as big, or near as big as our radar there a little while ago was trying to estimate. It's very unusual there. I think our radar just got caught off guard almost, the algorithm, by how quickly that developed. They go from no rain to a hail event here within a few moments. I mean, within less than a half hour. So, interesting. Again, now this is about 8/10 of an inch in diameter, which seems more accurate. Earlier on, it went crazy. I mean, trying to, so we had hail much bigger than that, and that couldn't have been the case at this point. We'd have heard. This was just in such a rural area. Maybe it was a little bit bigger. Maybe it was a little bit over an inch, but I don't think we were getting anywhere close to 2 or 3 inches like this was trying to sell. So they're continuing the warning for, now they're going to say the nickel size hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds, but really, I mean, nickel isn't technically severe, and the 60 winds would be, but we're not getting evidence of that. But maybe if the storm kind of pushes some air down to the surface, it could knock a tree down or two to become more severe in terms of the verifiable facts afterwards. So far, this hail isn't going to verify the severe thunderstorm warning in terms of the statistics, I wouldn't think, because you're not at an inch on the hail. And you haven't got any wind damage. But if you get a wind damage report, and that's what would verify it here in the stats. But again, just continuing to watch things here in the Weather Center. We're sitting here now, 7:29 here on this Monday evening. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center, trying to keep you, your friends, your family safe and informed. And the core doesn't look quite as well put together as it did here a while ago on the velocity mode. But I mean, on this mode, you can still see the purples, though. I mean, it's kind of, you get one area to develop on the leading edge. Now, further back is where we're getting this. Maybe they already got a hail there about 15 minutes ago around Hispaniola. And now they're getting a situation where they're getting a little bit more of it. Right in that same spot there. That's right around that community there, reported by our emergency management. Toward the east here, nickel size reported. Just trying to continue to give you guys details on this. So I know I'm just going to keep looking at it. Let's go to the broad perspective here again. I'm going to try to give you guys the very latest. You can kind of see here. We have these other popcorn storms. None of those are as close to being severe as the one that is warned for is. And it may either be severe right now or just under. But you can see a few other areas here. I'll run around the St. Johns River watching, as well as the one northwest of Palatka. Something else looks too robust right now in our area. There's some stuff down toward west central Florida. And then you also have some stuff here. This line maybe could intensify that moves into more favorable air later. We'll see. Models have been sowing that with it to see if we get more development around our area or not. Again, looking here right now, you can see we have a couple different indicators coming up again. So maybe we end up getting some more warnings out of this here closer to the St. Johns River. Hopefully not, but you never know. I know reported dime size hail at 713 and now coming on in the chat. Let's go ahead and go on over here to our other source right now. Again, several advisories in play for this stuff, but only the one warning here down toward the south where the core looks the most well put together. You see quite a bit of wind energy in here. Inward part of Flagler County. So again, I just continue to watch things here. I know sometimes we're on for a while, we kind of repeat ourselves, but it's just about giving you guys the very latest here. People tune in, people tune out of the coverage. We'll go ahead and look here right around US 1 again. That could be a conglomeration there, maybe nickel-sized hail crossing that in toward that area. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. We'll go ahead and look back up to the north. You see maybe some hail a little bit smaller than that around Bostwick. Hail there east of Green Cove Springs. So we'll continue to watch that. But this one here, oh, it's looks like that latest scan. They're picking up a little bit more on the hail again. Okay, they're talking here in the chat now that they think that stuff up here is kind of evolving with the East Coast sea breeze front. And that means that could end up turning severe now in northwestern St. Johns County with hail and damage and wind increasing there. So got to keep that in mind. Got to keep that in mind as we're looking toward the north now. Maybe get a warning up in that direction here as we're looking toward parts of St. Johns County. So got to be aware of that across parts of the First Coast region. So get a warning up here. So we started out, then we got a warning down here. It's kind of like playing whack-a-mole, I guess, some ways. We continue to watch things. By the way, in the tropics, I know something else to touch on. We got Tropical Storm Brett to develop on us here earlier on this afternoon, officially, according to the Hurricane Center. And that could be something to watch toward Puerto Rico. So got to pay attention there and toward that part of the world. We'll watch it here for any type of threat as we look, any type of threat here as we look further on out toward the west as well. But at this point, not going to go too much into detail on that. But not going to go too much into detail on that. But I know being told right now, as I see here in the chat, there's some new information coming on out. A couple different things. Let me take a power outage numbers first. Florida power outages, according to poweroutage.us, 6,806 customers in the dark. Clay County, 903. Flagler County, despite this hail, not seeing any customers in the dark yet. 7. St. Johns County, as Mike Burris at WJX and WFOX in Jacksonville, the chief meteorologist there at the duopoly, he just received a call from a viewer at Highway 16 and I-70, right? Again, I-95 there in St. Johns County. Gusts of 40 miles an hour plus pea-sized hail reported. So Highway 16 and I-95 in St. Johns County, gusts of 40 miles an hour and pea-sized hail reported. So that's what you call a strong storm, but maybe not severe, or it could be on the cusp of getting a warning, needing a warning here toward Interstate 95. So again, that's close there toward, it looks like, as we zoom on in there, close to State Road 16. Close to State Road 16 in that area. Let's see. I'm going to move our map up a little bit here. Bear with me. This is west of Volano Beach. West of Volano. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom on in here. We're a traffic system. Bear with me for the latest. So it looks like it'll be close to the premium outlets then. So just looking at my geography. Let's see, this might be a good camera to go to if it's working. I know we're having some trouble to the south. Hoping the one to the north will work, and it is working right now. So for us to present to you guys, the viewer at home. So let's go ahead and set this to you right around the interstate region. Sometimes when the cameras don't work, that means the conditions have deteriorated too much to be able to get a signal there out of that area. But this one we're still working. I-95 at mile marker 317. You can see here, there's some flashes of lightning, it would appear. So again, whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors in these type of situations. I know some folks, you just get caught out here, nothing you can do. But in general, these are the precautions you want to take. So just keep that in mind. Keep those in mind. That's whenever thunder roar, just go indoors here. So you sit inside that dirty building and try to get away from windows. But some folks just get caught out here. They can't help it if they're even in commute. And things kind of can develop pretty quickly. There's more lightning there comes into play. Just always got to think about those risks of hydroplaning and the like here. So when you have this water on the roadway like this. So again, this is I-95, mile marker 317, a strong thunderstorm here. In other words, this is St. Johns County. It's actually, I put that warning information up. This is what happens when you're on day 8 here. I'm kind of thinking this is a severe warning storm, but actually this one's not warned yet. So ignore those precautions. I mean, in terms of it being a warning, but they still apply actually. I mean, they still really do apply. Just ignore it saying severe thunderstorm warning. But again, as we continue along here in the timeline, we're just going to look here at this camera 95 at mile marker 317. So let's go ahead and go away from this right now. I think move away from this view as you see a little more lightning there in the area. Let's kind of go back on over to other perspective then. Go back on over to other perspective. So I'm going to keep this with a strong threat here. It seems not severe. Part to Clay, St. John, then Putnam 315. So not going to go with a warning there. Yeah, this one here, we had a bunch of hail reported toward the south here. And you can kind of see maybe a little bit of that now starting up there just east of US 1 in that area. That's a different part of this, but it's going more, I mean, similar. That got some hail earlier a few minutes ago, but 195 about to get into some of this here over the next little bit. So got to keep that in mind as we're looking toward parts of Flagler County. So again, more issues there in that vicinity. Going to keep looking at our different scans here. You can see Beverly Beach, some of those areas around there could be getting impacted. I know we're just going to keep looking at all of our different data and the data points coming on in. So again, this warning goes for another 7 minutes. We'll see if they keep it right now. It may be a situation where it's going to be real close. I mean, in that it's kind of right on the edge of maybe being severe with the hail, maybe not quite being there. Just a lot of hail storming off. That's why again the radar was reading as high as it was. I think kind of unusual to get that much hail to fall around here, even if it's not severe or just on the cusp of being severe in size. But looking toward Interstate 95 here, Flagler County. So Spotter and Lehigh Woods section reports 3 inches of rain since about 7 o'clock, and now just now they're getting a piece-sized hail. So that's a lot of rain. You always have to start thinking about a flood advisory, maybe something in that realm here, an aerial flood warning even. That much rain in that sort of period of time. That really shows you how this has developed over. I mean, remember, less than an hour ago, we didn't even have any rain. I didn't have to cell on radar. It wasn't even visible, and now it's been a severe warm storm for the last little bit. So things change quickly, even quicker than normal. About as volatile as you get in terms of just the development here, even if it's not just overwhelming in terms of severity. Like I know that one source tried to show it was. I think it was just again developed so quickly here in our algorithms. It was kind of catching it there, and but we still are seeing a bunch of hail in here. It's just not maybe at the very most maybe getting a 1 inch. It would seem based on the lack of reports that have gotten even to that at this point. 8.88, the highest. So again, let's go back here. No, we have an advisory for this stuff now. The Melbourne office issuing this for Central Florida. Some stuff coming in from Sumter County, Hernando County, Pasco County. So that's kind of the storyline there. And you can kind of see around Flagler again this warning, and you have the advisories up towards St. Augustine. And we're getting a report out of that area now. The broadcast media about 1/4 size hail that was being reported earlier that just came in at the OSR, the local storm report. I see there's another tornado warning in North Carolina now, so let's go ahead and go up there. I know the radar coverage is kind of tricky up there, but we'll go ahead and punch these up just to show these polygons to you on that GeoEarth source. Now, these are tornado warnings just about the Charlotte here, some pretty highly popular areas like Huntersville included, Concord, North Carolina as well. I'm going to keep watching things. I know the latest update here as we get it in from the Weather Service, talks about it. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Huntersville, in the northeast at only 5 miles an hour. Very slow there in the Piedmont of North Carolina. Is this movement tonight? I know you can't really see the rotations on here, but the way they issue this out, it's a separate cell then back behind. That's cell number 1. That's potential tornado there, number 2, or however you want to label them. So, again, that's the storyline there. As we're looking at things in our Doppler. So 2 possible tornadoes in North Carolina. No formal tornado risk up there. So, interesting to see that. I mean, even you see a marginal risk, but tornado risk not showing up, hail risk not showing up, wind risk does, but instead maybe some tornadoes there as we're looking at things in the where that states. Continuing to watch things here. We'll go ahead and move back down. Okay, we're getting some development now. But this is a flood advisory, by the way. You see the flood advisory now, as we expected, for parts of Flagler until 9:45. They just expired. It's a thunderstorm warning for Flagler. But that storm in northern Putnam County now looks like it's starting to edge up a little bit. Let's see what we're getting there. Even in the southern Clay County, actually, where the worst of that could be trying to get going right into the St. Johns River. Other source said right sword as well. So we'll just keep watching things here on our Doppler. Again, yeah, it's not really. I think it's almost displacing some stuff because that looks too far north. Another source there. So interesting that the other source is kind of misreading some stuff with this type of setup that we're in. But I think that might be the case at this point because the timestamps wouldn't quite make sense otherwise here. So we're still getting numerous reports. Even if they're going to drop the warning for Flagler, they're still getting numerous reports of hail there in the Palm Coast area. It looks like a pea dime size. So still a nasty storm. But as technically none of those, unless we get an inside hailstone in there, nothing would meet the criteria that's verifying. Not verifying as a warning, even though really it's not bad. Not the worst thing to have had a warning on that storm there for sure. Not with the algorithm getting as nasty as it was. Definitely, I think everybody would see the severe thunderstorm warning on that pretty much at this point in time, based on what they were seeing. Aerial flood advisory for St. John's now at 9:45. So that's the storyline there. With some more rain coming on into that area. I know just continue to watch all of our different scans. Maybe some wind enhancement here east of the interstate. This could get severe on us as it moves toward Volano Beach here over the next little bit, making an interesting guess at the St. Augustine Airport, even though that's north of town. They're getting the worst to the north of town, but let's go ahead and go back on over here. And this is a new significant advisory now for area of Flagler. So again, not going with a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if you're not getting the reports and you have so many areas that you can get reports out of, and the radar's a little bit weaker scanning wise than what it was earlier, that makes sense to go to the SPS here, the special. I mean, I guess it's special weather statement, SWS, whatever you want to call it, or the abbreviation. But again, continuing to watch things. Back to the west, even we're looking at some stuff on our Doppler off of Gulfport there. You see some lightning, a lot of lightning there. And then I zoom out. We're trying to give you guys the latest. Okay, I think they're going to reissue that warning then because it's going to be a confirmed. We're going to have, okay, that Palm Coast storm is now more dangerous. So we're being told, by the way, all this heat up here, Texas and Oklahoma, they have power outages still from the storms, and even without those, some excessive heat problems could arise there for sure. We're now being told, though, by the Palm Coast Fire Department into the emergency management relayed by them that Station 21, Belterra Parkway and Palm Coast Parkway golf ball size hail has been reported. So that is over that severe threshold then. So that may be falling. It sounds like from the storm that is over that severe threshold. 1 inch is quarter size. That'll get us a new warning probably for observed severe then in Flagler County. So no wrapping this up quite yet then. It looks like they're going to have to go with observed severe on that then. If that's the case, golf ball size, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background here, despite that algorithm going away. Again, this hail stuff's tricky. I mean, I was kind of on the same boat here, but golf ball size here, as we kind of look at our hail sizes again, I should get a graphic as much as we've had hail around here this year. I mean, it's not normally a thread like this, but need to get a hail size graphic together. So 1.75 is what Goffo is. We thought they might have wanted to issue the one earlier, 4, but the problem is it looked like it had weakened enough where we weren't seeing that anymore. But coming into that area now, it sounds like that just is happening as we're speaking. So kind of a give and take. And then Quarterside Hill now, Royal Palms and Belle Terre. So that's also that similar area. It sounds like that's also just severe. That's a 1 inch, which is your criteria for a warning now. So a bizarre situation here to some degree in Flagler County. Let's see if we can get some more cameras. I know we had some issues with them a few moments ago, but we're learning this information live on the air about that storm in Flagler County. So we had the camera to St. John's, but we weren't getting the ones in Flagler. But this stuff's kind of emerging here still, right along the interstate corridor. For a moment, there's not a warning in play, but that should change here with that observed tag, I would think, to golf ball side, because he had quarter and golf ball both observed here now in towards some of the different communities in Palm Coast's area. So, trying to give you guys the latest here. Just a one-man band, but trying to keep you guys safe and informed. I'm looking at some of our different cameras here that might have available. So south, so this south of Palm Coast on the map name might be a good one if we can catch it. Let's see if we can catch this real quick. It's pretty nasty, I think, if this will take. Oh, looks like there's an issue again. Unfortunately, there's some issues with these cameras here because that looks like a dramatic cell was developing. And it cut it off real quick. You know, we're having some more, for whatever reason, that they're cutting off here on our Florida 501 source. So I'm just going to keep looking here. Maybe we'll get one of them, but they probably won't be as dramatic. So looks like we're definitely getting some winds whipping there, though. For a few seconds, it would come up. That's a mile marker 289. Mile marker 289 there. Bear with me here. Just, again, trying to get you guys a visual. This is pretty nasty there. I'm just not able to give you guys. Let me just do it like this because we're having an issue right now with the playback. We're having an issue right now with the playback on the cameras in this area. But I have a visual, a still. Let's do it like that then. Let's go ahead and go to the still image of this. It's pretty nasty. There may be some hail in here. I just can't tell, obviously, without a video, really. So let's go ahead. I'll zoom in on this a little bit, and then I'll take this full. Again, we're on the fly here trying to keep you, your friends, your family safe and informed on this Monday evening. Again, ending this holiday weekend, and we have some nasty weather around. So let's go ahead and go on over toward this screen. This is a still from the Florida 501 just a moment ago. You can see how nasty it was. People with their lights on. It's closer to sunset anyway, but nonetheless, you can see how things have had deteriorated out there on this still shot from a moment ago. So that's your Florida 501 perspective there. I-95 northbound at mile marker 289. So again, trying to give you guys the very latest here. Trying to give you guys the latest. So I think those hail reports occurred at about 7:45, at least one of them, so they're able to kind of count that in that. Since they expired officially at 7:45, they're able to kind of count that in there and verify it at that time, I would think. So that makes sense. It takes a couple minutes, obviously, to get the reports in here. So actually, it might have been a little bit earlier than that because 7:43 is when they put it in. It had to have been earlier than 7:43, and then they put it in the OSR at 7:45, but probably closer to 7:40 then. And that's some inside baseball stuff. But again, continuing to watch things here in the weather center. And this is where they report it geographically. So, yeah, it's not even set up on hail tracker now in that area. Earlier on, this probably about 36, 38 after the hour then when that happened down there because it was off a little bit. But now it looks like it's weakening. So this stuff happens quick, folks. I mean, you miss something, you're not paying attention for 5 minutes, and something could completely change on you. So, I mean, again, just talking about, anybody here as just out and about. So, again, watching things there, St. Augustine Airport, seeing some heavy rain right now in the Warden area. So at this point, they may not reissue But to say that, I'm still seeing another core try to develop again on another mode here. Up and down here, folks. That's gonna happen this time of year, but this pattern's been a little bit more, I guess you could say, in that storyline of thinking. But you can see around St. Augustine, you can see some wind enhancement there moving on in. Still can't completely write a warning on some of this stuff here closer to the coast as well. So we'll watch for that, obviously. We'll watch for that. Let's see what we might have here. Again, I'm trying to put all the latest details here to protect you, your friends, and your family on this Monday evening. Just bear with me here. I know they're going to expire that Flatsfoot emergency. That Flatsfoot emergency, so that's kind of the storyline further on over. So obviously us over the ward areas there around Mobile, but not Mobile proper. So that's kind of the storyline there. Again, trying to give you guys a heads up. Give you guys a heads up on things. Been on with the stream for almost an hour, so again, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for trusting me. So, again, just don't want to get another warning on this. We got a warning down towards Central Florida, which is interesting. Just popping up. Maybe the Melbourne office then. A lake in far northwestern Orange counties there for 60-mile-an-hour winds. Groveland, Mascot, Claremont, Ferndale, Montverde. I think that's the right pronunciation there. Montverde, yeah. And Winter Garden there towards Central Florida. We're going to go ahead and watch that stuff. I must have shown something on the scan. I see some rotation on this mode. That's not that it's rotating along. Let's check down velocity. Okay, we're getting report to accident. Let's go back up, and I'll also check on another source. But getting report now some wind damage in West Palm Coast near Wellington Drive. A fence panel got knocked down, so that's definitely impactful there to those folks. I don't like to have that. That's not something overwhelming though, but I know just continuing to watch things here with these peculiar storms impacting portions of the area here. Things can change pretty quickly. I know we've had people watching with interest from around Brooksville before. That's down there. That's in areas of Hernando County. I'll go ahead and go on over to our other map because we're getting quite a bit of lightning there east of there. Got a gust of 40 a little while ago in Brooksville airport slide. It's just south by a little ways of where Brooksville shows up on the map. But yeah, there's some interesting features. There's some interesting features here for sure as we look further off. Let me go ahead and do that. You can see some wind here to about 50 maybe around Dade City. Again, a gust of 40 there in southern Hernando County. And then as we're looking outside of our area right now, this is where I had a warning. I wonder if the terminal radar picked up something. I bet it had to have for them to issue a warning. I haven't got in their chat to check, but that's just my guess here on this. Oh yeah, that's where they're picking that up from. They're north of Claremont then. I was really hopeful to be able to see that those winds are picking up a little bit there. That could, if that holds together, I mean, that's going to be there close toward Montverde. And then as we look, you see Ocoee there later on. So we'll be watching down there, but not in our area. This in this realm there. So let's go back on over to our other mode here, and you can see some stuff north of Albany, but it's not too robust at this point. Just giving you guys the latest here. Protect you, protect your friends, protect your family. I'm going to check our ARRR here. No, we don't have any active warnings in our area. I was just waiting to make sure we don't get another one before I probably wrap this on up. But maybe the peak heating, as we get towards sunset here, that could kind of help diminish some of this stuff. Could get some more later. Our models are insisting here. I wanted to double check. The long run was. Let me see if they just changed, because we would have some new data in that might help us here. We're still insisting on some development. Maybe a little further south now, though, which maybe that end up developing far enough south so it kind of pushes away from our area. But it's trying to show some development here in the nighttime right along the Gulf Coast, maybe pushing into Dixie and Levy and Even some stuff from, Columbia and Baker and Bradford and Duval down to St. John's and Flagler. That's around like, that's good as we get to 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning there. So kind of interesting to see here on the Doppler radar forecast that I'm looking at behind the scenes here. So we'll have to see how that kind of develops. So, okay, so we're getting another update now. Storms now focused along I-95 in St. John and Flagler counties and should be pushing offshore by around 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Right now, not quite at 8, and we're now getting a gust of 57 miles an hour. That's under by a mile an hour, a severe limit, under that by a mile an hour. Hammock Dunes Bridge. So a gust of 57 miles an hour at the Hammock Dunes Bridge. So that's kind of the storyline there. And we're looking, this is pretty nasty again at this point. It seems like more of the reports have come in since the warning got let go. Some of it maybe from right after, but some of it beforehand. With the reports just trickling in here in the post process. So, again, that's kind of how things can go sometimes here in the Weather Center, in the weather world, as it takes a little while for the information to trickle on in. As we go ahead and look there, I know we're going to go ahead and go back to this view here. St. Augustine, just north of St. Augustine itself, downtown, I should say. It's close to the airport. See, there's some wind enhancement. It says it got to 28 there a little while ago, but we could be getting a little higher. Maybe upward about 40 to 50 miles an hour in that area. Probably not quite severe than this right here. Looks like a little bit of wind enhancement right over Palm Coast right now in parts of Flagler County. Again, just continuing to watch things here. Making sure we give you guys the very latest here on what's going on. Just trying to type some things out to get you guys the very latest. Let me see. Power outage numbers. Let's check that. And then we have Oklahoma, the one in the country right now that has 179,924 customers still in the dark. And that's about 2 days after the worst of the accident came through. It's been almost 48 hours, a little less, but like about maybe closer to like 40 or 42, somewhere around there. Trying to do the math here on the fly. That might be 43, whatever, in that realm. But again, let's just go ahead and kind of look here at our certain maps that we do have. Again, the Florida outage numbers are about a little over 6,000. Duval County, 356 customers in the dark. St. John, only 9. Flagler, only 8. So these numbers aren't really going up too much, which tells me, as a meteorologist, even if these storms are causing some issues, overwhelmingly they're not a terribly predominant threat. They are causing maybe some novelty things with the hail. Except that 1.75, that could do some damage. Seems like a pretty isolated little area there that evolved. But you can see a little bit of broad spin right here near Volano. I know they got impacted by all these hurricanes over the last several years with all that coastal problem there, really, for lack of a better term. In terms of the beach erosion and the like under some of those homes. Some of them not being able to be inhabited at this point, I would say. As you look back between the different threats. But you can kind of see here, this is a little bit of weak spin. It's about to move off into the water, though. Next scan probably. This is 58 pass with the scan. And that's right over A1A at this point. So that's kind of your storyline there as we give you guys the latest updates. As we're at 7:59 right now. Again, I'm just trying to give you guys the very latest here to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your families. So, again, right here east of Corona, maybe a little bit of weak rotation now. And that's interesting there. This is kind of why I want to stick with it. I feel like something could happen, and if we go off here, we're almost in a spot where we can't get back on if something happens this quick. We get like a quick spin of tornado or something crazy. As we're right here, this is, looks like this is, let me check our county boundary. Yeah, this is on Flagler, just barely here. Maybe a little bit of weak rotation set up on our Doppler algorithm, so that's a little bit of a hook there. So up just south of Flagler Beach, again, looking there toward A1A. I know I'm going to go ahead and continue to watch that. Speaking of parameters out here, we don't have much in the way of rotational parameters, but interestingly enough, right as you get at the coast here, you kind of pick up on some STP values. That might be why it's rotating then. And toward that hook, you don't generally have that type of stuff this time of year anyway to work with at all. So as it kind of gets into off that area there, that kind of plays a role here. Like, I mean, it's not near as much as we had out to the west here with some of the stuff we've seen, but nonetheless, it's kind of interesting here in general to see that on our algorithms. As we're getting an update now, storm report, Palm Coast, Flagler County, 5,000 Palm Coast, Parkway near Hammock Dunes Bridge, Augusta 57, but now all lanes of Palm Coast Parkway are being obstructed, maybe by trees or something in that regard. So that's from emergency management there. Bob Pickering there in that area giving us that information here at this point in time. So again, some important details to pass along to you, the viewer, there in this type of threat. Again, just watching things, it's kind of tricky right now, the coast. They're kind of tricky. I mean, even another area, weaker rotation here. We've been watching up towards St. John's, right along A1A. But the one to the south looks like it would be have a better chance to verify. And then be a final cloud situation or the like. So. And we don't have it in our storm. Let me switch this over real quick because we have been switching between our different directions and speeds. But yeah, definitely some rotation there. That's starting to head out into the water though. Now that latest scan's from 8 o'clock and it shows the greens and reds really starting to get out into the water. So that'd be some good news. Again, just watching things here, some stronger gusts there around Volano. So almost to what the pixel. At 38 you see, and we have about 40 on the pixel, so adding up pretty good there in our system, it would appear at this point. So again, this one here is popping up right at the coast. That might be a water spout. I mean, if it's not a brief funnel cloud or a very brief maybe gustnado type of situation here right at the coast, we could be having this above here out in the water over the next few moments. So that's something to kind of keep our eyes on here for sure as we continue to watch this scenario here. We continue to give you guys the very latest to protect you, your friends, and your family. Again, no official warnings still. We had them earlier on, obviously. We had the damage come on in, but you can kind of see how this is going out into the water. Also now reporting Palm Coast of a tree down. A Palm Coast report now of a tree down on a Colbert Lane at the North Village Parkway area, also in Palm Coast. Also being told that corrected that thunderstorm wind gust report from areas there around Suwannee County. The reported power lines and trees down along County Road 136A and 53rd Road was from a thunderstorm gust at 10:59 this morning. So not the time it was still on our system. So interestingly enough there, I know if this had another, at this point it's too late probably, and I probably wouldn't need it at this point because it's over the water, but if this is about 3 miles back toward the west out here, give or take, obviously, I'm kind of guesstimating on the mileage. I might want to issue a severe thunderstorm warning of the tornado possible tag on this, but it's too late and it's not necessary at this point. So let's put this in storm motion from our other mode here. Yeah, that's better with the marine warning. Definitely still showing that rotation. Got a gust of 45 in Sumter County around Bushnell there, around that bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. So again, multiple reports coming in out of Flagler County right now. Just checking in for the latest there. I know. Just seeing some issues toward different spots there in different communities. So again, it seems like that area is kind of retreating or moving out further over away from the coast now. This area up here, it looks like we don't see much in the wind and nothing overwhelmed with the hail. And we have this area south of Vermont Heights though now. It looks like it's trying to evolve near I-95. This area here is starting to show some spin as well, so we'll have to watch that as we get closer to water that are more favorable conditions in the Atlantic and near the Atlantic. So again, around Volano Beach, we're watching things here. 35-mile-an-hour wind there showing up on that velocity. Again, we're seeing this very broad, maybe spin near I-95, but nothing overwhelming there. Let's get back on over to other view. A broad perspective here. I'm trying to give you guys the very latest. I just got a warning for Brevard County now, not in our area, but kind of interesting to watch here. Kind of interesting to watch. So we'll see this toward Palm Bay. Let me kind of check in here. Any rotation? There's not a mention of it, and I don't see much yet. This is for Palm Bay and parts of Melbourne there, and Malabar, India Atlantic, and Barefoot Bay. 845, again, northern areas there of, I guess you could say, I mean, maybe I'm trying to use a better description. I shouldn't have said northern, but you can almost say the antenna signal there from some of those channels down south might be coming up there. But not true. What I meant by that is I should say southeastern Brevard County, but again, I just continue to watch things there, and maybe thread of some hail developing west of 95 in that area. So right along the coast with these STP values. Again, that's kind of, we're watching that because, I mean, you can get a quick spin of at least a funnel cloud there possible. I know, looking like something there developing south of Crescent City. I'll have to watch that here over the next little bit to see if that's a storm that becomes a little more defined. Let me go ahead and punch up here. Or the view. I mean, that could be trying to get going. We'll watch it. It's just that side of the area though. Again, this stuff here around St. Augustine bears watching because you have a lot of rain. I mean, at this point, we were talking about earlier, there may not be enough rain to cause big problems in St. Augustine, but now this is starting to linger. And we might have to start thinking about more than just a flood advisory. We might have to think about an area flood warning now because of that low-lying nature of some of those communities there in the St. Augustine region. This is the 1 hour rainfall, about 1.5 inches in an hour just east of the airport. So went up in 12 hours here, a pretty similar story. They're about 8 o'clock. So I know Tampa office media members just saying, I don't know if it's recent, but viewers submitting photos of a water spout off of Indian Rocks Beach. So maybe something from a little bit earlier on then. I'm just kind of guessing here, maybe that storm. I'm not 100% certain. I need to check where that is, to be quite honest. And that might make sense. Or maybe it's that area out here. Let me see. So Indian Rocks Beach. So I'm talking about another area set up on radar. Let me see where that is. Okay, so that is going to be in part of Pinellas County. So let's see here. So looking at my geography. Again, watching things there off of Pinellas. Let me just see if that little spin there is something. Might be able to see it on our analyst computer a little bit better. If that is something there. So it's off of Pinellas. One of these two areas, maybe, possibly, if that's current. If not, maybe one of the areas that came in earlier on. So that's something to kind of take note of. Again, let's get back to the Jacksonville radar for now, though. I know. We'll go wrap this up pretty soon unless we get some type of warning here in our area. But just again, it's a situation where I'm so close to the coast, it would take us maybe a couple minutes to get on. And by then, if we got a quick spin up tornado, the damage and the impact could already be over with here at that point. So that's why I kind of hesitate jumping off here of the air because things keep changing here when we have those values. Just right near the coast here, confined like that, it makes me concerned a little because this is spinning up out in the water now. It could be a water spout people could see off Flagler. Be interesting if that's the case. I mean, still some lightning around, so don't try to view it, Roy, but interesting storyline. Now you can see around St. Augustine, a lot of lightning in the nation's oldest city right now in the south side of town, right around St. Augustine Beach. This is not a good beach day here around St. Augustine Beach. So, again, just to keep that in mind, we're just going to try to give you guys the latest here and just try to effort all the details you guys need. But just going ahead and typing some things, checking some things here, and trying to make sure you have the latest to protect you, your friends, and your families. Again, let's see, check some other sources here. I know. I'm just going to go ahead and see if we have any comments from the viewers here. I know I saw on YouTube somebody watching it looked like there. Again, thank you so much for tuning in and trusting me. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now. Again, somebody that answered my question, actually, I was kind of saying on the air, the Indian Rocks is near Clearwater Beach. So, we'll keep our eyes on that. I'm not 100% sure the timing on that yet. They haven't said here in the chat, but because it looks like some weak rotation out there, but sometimes those water spouts can be sneaky. So it'll be interesting to hear the time on that. But back to our local area, back to our 62 counties now. Again, We're located here in a Stark area, and we primarily, of course, we cover national threats as necessary, but the big ones there, the big events, and we tweet some stuff at Twitter. Cloud Casey posts some stuff there too, and some stuff on Facebook there. Casey Cloud Reacts and Cloud Weather. But in terms of our covered area for one air covered, I mean, generally, not again always, but generally it focuses on these 62 counties. Let's get back on over to the Doppler and the velocity mode, though. Again, you're talking about areas east of Armstrong, east of Interstate 95 here. At this point in time, a little bit of a bend here in the algorithm. I know strong thunderstorms will be impacting areas of southeastern St. Johns County to about 8:45 here. So we'll continue to watch things in toward that part of the region. Again, US 1 there. So we're just going to look and see that advisory. The latest from the Weather Service was that winds around 40 miles an hour and excessive cloudy ground lightning possible from near St. Augustine and near St. Augustine shores to near Marineland. Over northeast at 20 miles an hour. St. Augustine Beach, Crescent Beach, St. Augustine Shores, Butler Beach, St. Augustine South, Bolano Beach, Anastasia, and DuPont Center. They are watching that type of scenario. As we go ahead and show you right now. Again, what's going on? I'm going to go up in the tilt a little bit to see. We did this earlier with some of our stuff. And you can't see anything too much different. But again, don't have any warnings though. We've been on a little longer than we generally would after warnings. But as things have been lately, things change so quick. I just would hate to have a spin up here in a couple of these areas. This one would be off the coast at this point. Maybe seeing a water spout from Flagler. That looks like it could be something there in that regard. Could definitely be. So that's something to keep in mind in this type of setup. But as we look up toward the north here around Crescent Beach, you can kind of see here, again, they're not overwhelming. It's just, it wouldn't take a lot to get something to maybe get a little bit stronger here. So north of Crescent Beach, I mean, we're so close to the coast at this point. I feel like a situation here is one where they may just go ahead and let this ride unless something really goes gate to gate quickly or some type of report comes in that kind of makes it more obvious here that a threat's trying to come into play. And the STP up to the north isn't quite as much as it is down toward Flagler either. So that's a significant tornado parameter that can help be an indicator of the fuel available for some tornadic activity or a quick spin up. When you have some values here right around Flagler's coast, and we have that spin down there, but up here you don't see much. You have some supercell composite here trying to come into play, but right on the edge of that, I'm looking some of it on the color table because too low the values. But again, just continue to watch things here. That looks like it's trying to stick out a little bit there, but it doesn't. It's kind of displaced. So again, normally I wouldn't be this picky about this stuff. I know we're kind of almost overdoing it here at this point, but just better safe than sorry sometimes in these situations. You can see a little bit of green and red north of Crescent Beach toward Butler Beach there. Again, a little bit of that just west of Bolano Beach. Again, this would not be something that would be too damaging. It's just, it would not be too damaging, but it's a situation that could get a quick warning, maybe a quick tornado warning, but chances of that seem to be dropping here at this point. Again, this is kind of what fueled my interest because you can see how it's developing around Flagler County there a little while ago, but that's moving out into the water and has done so successfully there, if you want to call it that, and moving away. But again, still watching things around St. Augustine. A lot of heavy rain. We could get some type of flood alert here. I feel like with all this heavy rain there, this is a lot of rain in a pretty short period for St. Augustine. You can kind of see here all this heavy downpour activity here in toward this area. So that can start to cause issues. It's not backbuilding here too much, it doesn't look like. Not seeing really that on our view, but we could get some issues in those low-lying areas of St. Augustine, which, I mean, that can't be a situation where we could completely write a flash flood warning to be issued for that type of threat. So hopefully it's moving out quick enough so that won't happen now. But again, we'll keep watching. We'll keep tracking here in the Weather Center. Let's go ahead and go back to the broad perspective here. We'll go ahead and jump back on over to our other view. There's a broad look right now, not much to the west and north, which is a little bit different than our models are showing, but maybe later in the night we'll get some stuff developing. Hopefully not. It'd be good if we didn't. I mean, the Mars risk a little lower, and probably not zero, but lower. As we did have, again, a damaging situation in some ways, some areas towards Flagler, Not really towards St. John's, though, as what we first came on for. So, again, under those counties border each other, we'll pull up our coverage map here real quick. We'll go ahead and try to give you guys a look at what's going on in this type of scenario here. St. John and Flagler, near the coast. Again, it's not like we're interrupting programming or anything. Staying on. If we were interrupting programming, we would have had to have gone back a while ago. This is not a situation like that. So, again, we're going to go ahead and just keep looking at this, keep studying things on our scans. They're not that tight. I mean, it's just the way that spun up down there concerned me. That's in a little bit better perimeter space. I mean, kind of on the southern flank there, too, that little hook. I mean, we see a little bit of that here, but I mean, it's going to be getting out over water soon. You see some wind moving about 40 over. It looks like a State Road 206. So, still could have some minor damage here. Maybe we don't have a warning in play. I mean, but at this point, I think we're going to go and wrap it up. If we need to jump back in, of course we will. If we need to post something, obviously a tornado warning, we have to jump in. But if it's something other than that, we may just post about it, depending on the overall severity of the situation, the population density, the time frame, and the like. So, a lot of different factors we take into account. But different gusts here in play for 8 o'clock there. 44-mile-an-hour gust reported. The Ponte Vedra area. So, that's kind of interesting to make note of there. Just kind of seeing that on our different systems coming on into the Weather Center. But for now, I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center, trying to give you guys the very latest here to protect you, your friends, and your family. Seeing some stronger winds still just near the intersection of US 1 and State Road 206. Maybe getting a gust there like 45 miles an hour, even not out of the question. I don't think that moves into where Crescent Beach here over the next few moments. So keep that in mind. If we get another warning, obviously we'll make the right decision here and come on if we need to. If not, we'll post about it on the various platforms there on Facebook and on Twitter. For now, try to have a great rest of that holiday weekend. Have a great night out there. That golf balls out of hell was at 7:43, by the way, at the fire department. Coming on in, correcting that information a little bit. So just before that warning was officially expired there, out toward parts of the Northeast Florida region. Have a good night.